expected to be there. Mm-hmm. She's not a Trump fan.
Right.
Did you get a hold of Marion Rarick, Chris?
I sent her a text. I have not heard a response.
She's probably working because she's a Republican legislator, and they show up for work. The Democrats, by the way, who does that? What's that Twin Cities Channel 2 news show called? Almanac. Isn't it Eric
Eskel and Kathy Wurzer.
And Wurzer.
Yeah.
They had Demuth, and Hortman on.
Together, side by side.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Hortman, who apparently is just terribly delusional, said that the Supreme Court ruling in which they instructed the election not to be held January 28th, that was way too early, and Walz violated the law. And Hortman said that ruling brought us back to a tie. And even Escala, who spent his whole life not making a statement about anything, laughed. And so did Wurzer. They laughed at that, which I applaud them. They laughed at it.
Well, it was.
How could you say that, Hortman? The ruling clearly said, the election date was illegal, and you remained out of work. You're not tied. You're right now 67-66. You're not tied. And they burst out laughing, which I thought was a great ray of hope, because it's just not the type of show where they would laugh at the expense of a fellow DFLer. You know
that show is about decorum usually most of the time.
It's not like us.
No, not at all.
It's polite and reasonable and very soft spoken, but they would never laugh at the expense of a lefty. And here they were, by their standards, they were almost guffawing. In any event, Marion Rarick, who we've had as a guest. Are you getting a text from her right now?
Yes.
Oh, Chris, is she available?
About to find out, Joe.
All right, Chris. Is Chris pouting now?
Chris is not pouting. Chris is curious why you're in such a crank-ass mood today.
Not me, baby. I'm ready. Well, because I'm worried about Christine's membership.
Is anything else you want to rip about the show and everything else right now?
Chris, this my analogy is we're out on a lake.
Yep.
The ice next to shore about 4 inches. But you just get about 50 yards out, it's about a half inch out there. So you just want to stay close to shore today on GL.
Yep, that's what I'm doing.
Stay close to shore.
If I fall in, I'm only going to get up to my waist.
You were trying to pardon everybody who showed up at the Capitol.
Me?
That's the opposite
Reavers
of what I
was.
said.
Oh.
I'm not pardoning them.
Okay.
Marion Rarick.
Let's go here.
Where is she? Let's
go here.
I saw this on the news last night. She's doing the Lord's work. She wants a top-to-bottom revenue and spending review of the entire University of Minnesota system. Because she contends, rightly so, that it just has never been examined. There's just so little oversight on everything in this state. And it turns out that, of course, the U of M wants another $225 million from the taxpayers. But it's her concern, Marion's concern, that salaries and benefits for presidents, vice presidents, chancellors, and department heads keep growing throughout the system. And there's the buck isn't stopping anywhere to say, wait a minute.
Right.
She said across the entire $5 billion annual budget, it's never been asked for. The legislature has never looked for this before. They didn't know what to do. So, yes, this is historic.
Okay.
I believe it was Jay Coles talking to her, and Jay said, is this historic? And she said, yeah, it's never been done. They've never put the administrators under the Klieg lights and say, well, why are you making what you're making? And why do you have 14 assistants? Yeah. I'm all for it. Let's go here.
I think what every state needs, and this one especially, is a nonpartisan review board that covers not only the U of M, but virtually every aspect of government.
Well, then you need Doge here.
That's as long as it's nonpartisan and separate from government. I don't want any senators or representatives on this board.
Rarick will be looking to see if those salaries and benefits are comparable to similar university systems in other states. I want to know if the administrators are making so much money that it's not getting to the professors, it's not getting to the staff. There's increases in tuition, and it's just feeding this machine of administrative bloat. Hear, hear.
Here, here. Harumph.
The U of M has asked the legislature for $235 million for the 2025-26 school year as part of its overall $5 billion budget. Doesn't that failed academy every year ask for money?
Yes.
Or every biennium?
Annually.
I think it's
Or
biennium. Yeah. The University of Minnesota Board of Regents has final approval of the system's budget, and Board of Regents member James Farnsworth told Coles that the scrutiny is welcomed. It continues to demonstrate that we need to put in the work at the legislature to show that as our state's public land grant R1 university, I don't know what that means, that we're spending our funds appropriately, said Farnsworth. Farnsworth said making sure the money is spent wisely and research programs and student achievement continue to be a high priority is important because it's in the best interests of the state. It's always a task that is going to require us to really put in the work to do our due diligence because we're asking for a lot of money, said Farnsworth. Well, you're always asking for a lot of money, and there are people that graduate from the U of M with exceptional accomplishment and exceptional degrees, but for the most part, I don't care what anybody says, it's a failed academy. And
With a nice, healthy endowment.
well, but these schools, I've said this before. You bring, big insurance has been brought to Washington. Big pharma has been brought to Washington. Big tobacco has been brought to Washington. Big autos have been brought to Washington. Everything's been brought to Washington and made to sweat under the lights. Never has big education been brought to Washington. There's an unholy alliance between the political class and the academic class, both of whom live on the third rail. There's an unholy alliance.
But think about that also. With that grand endowment that they have made hundreds of millions of dollars with with this economy going up. It's just like looking at your 401k. You made 14% on your money this year. So they're making 14% on $1.3 billion.
Well, it's
So
unrealistic.
spend some of that money.
It's unrealistic to think that the taxpayers are not going to support the U of M. Of course they are. But I think it's important to define to what degree should they be supported. And exactly as Rarick is pointing out, how much of the dough we send you is actually getting to professors and research and test tubes?
What's your number? What's your
why
number?
do you have 14 assistants, all of whom are making these salaries and have these benefits? And she wants to find out about it. I hope she does. Did you find out anything?
Still waiting.
I see. Still trying to pardon everybody in Washington?
A real
exactly
stupid
what I'm
question
doing.
for you. How does the collective us Minnesotans benefit from us supporting the U of M? Just say the five of us. How do we benefit from our tax dollars going there?
Somebody invents a new breed of wheat and the farmers have a better day and they pay more taxes.
All right, I'm unaffected.
Apples.
They come up with another
Apples.
Honeycrisp. They can have all the money they want.
Or they produce good medical people who maybe invent a new laser beam to point at your brain and suddenly your brain cancer disappears.
It's not even the
All right,
U of M
can I use that?
hospital.
Can I use
It's not even the hospital anymore, isn't it? Now a Fairview Hospital,
Yes.
the U of M.
Yeah, didn't they buy it from them? They're still
believe so.
associated, but I believe they purchased it. More money for
An
them.
informed citizenry is always beneficial to the state.
All right.
I just wish that it wasn't so failed in that task. Because I've met U of M people who